Nick Pope is here with me today. Got some questions for you. Do you have anything that you would like to share with me today that you have never talked about?
Well, I've discussed a wide range of UFO-related issues before, but on the basis that either it is unclassified information or it's information that the Ministry of Defence has declassified. And my security oath binds me for life. In the UK, it's called the Official Secrets Act. And so, unless the government itself declassifies and releases information, even if I wanted to talk about it, I couldn't. So, frankly, unless something is out there and in the public domain, and I would then be able to comment on it as an insider who's had some experience on that program, then no, unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to go into further details.
Okay. So there's a new talk out there, someone releasing information about this program called ATIP with the United States Defense Department. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, the ATIP program is certainly, I guess, one of the most significant UFO-related stories to have emerged in recent years. And of course, for decades, the US government said, we are no longer interested in this. Since Project Blue Book was terminated in 1969, we're not investigating. Turns out they were. Specifically, the Defense Intelligence Agency, so DIA, an agency of the DoD, was looking at this from around about 2007 to around about 2012, though some of the people involved with the program say that it never actually shut down. It's still going. We know very little about ATIP. You know, there's even confusion over its name, whether it's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, or whether, as seems to be the case, it was a spin-off from a separate program called AWSAP, Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Application Program. So you get into this kind of alphabet soup territory with government all the time, particularly in the three-letter agencies. It makes it hard to follow, and if I'm being conspiratorial about that, I'd say that's the point.
It's almost like it's a joke. It's a tip to the people.
A tip of the iceberg, perhaps.
Yeah. It's an interesting subject. You think more's going to be coming out?
Yes. Actually, we have very little verifiable paperwork about the program. We have a letter that the former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid sent to a Deputy Defense Secretary about this back in 2009. We have a letter that the DIA sent to Congress about a year or so ago when the story first broke. Obviously Congress was saying, hey, what have you been doing? You said you didn't have a UFO program. You do. What is this ATIP? And so the letter went out to John McCain and to the ranking member on the Armed Services Committee, Jack Reed, no relation to Harry Reid, but and to various people in the intelligence committees and the armed services committees. But apart from that, and a handful of documents relating to the contract that was let, a lot of this was let out to the private sector, which is interesting because, of course, it makes congressional oversight more difficult, it makes Freedom of Information Act requests more difficult. But apart from that, we really have very little paperwork. So obviously there is more to come. We know that there was a list of 38 papers that these people got into on various esoteric subjects. 5 of those papers have been released, so the majority of them yet to come. So interesting. This story is still unfolding.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge on that we here in America have a space force? Have you heard anything about this?
Well, obviously we have President Trump's aspirations for a space force and whether this is going to sit as a separate branch of the military or whether it's going to, as was most recently suggested, fall under the United States Air Force remains to be seen. There's a separate debate about whether we have something called a secret space program. I think I regard space as being essentially just the same, an offshoot of, an extension of aviation. And sure, just as there will be things that we have out there flying, aviation programs that are maybe 10, 15, 20 years ahead of what's publicly declared, absolutely, same with space. So it wouldn't surprise me if we have various vehicles out there that have not yet been publicly acknowledged, but whether this falls into the category of a literal secret space program, as some people suggest, I think that goes a little bit too far. But sure, just as we had stealth fighters and stealth bombers long before you saw them fly at the big air shows, same with space, absolutely.
Okay. So what is your true opinion of Area 51? You think is going on?
Area 51 exists. We know that, it's not disputed anymore. I think there are two theories. One is that this is simply an area where, away from prying eyes, the next generation of American aircraft and drones can be test flown. And there is a separate theory that if we have recovered extraterrestrial technology, this is the location, or certainly one of the locations, where this is taken, studied, and maybe back engineered. I don't have any direct knowledge, confirmation of that latter theory. So there's an old saying in the intelligence analyst community, interesting if true. And that's my take on that, interesting if true.
One more question. What is your take on the Roswell crash?
We know something crashed. Again, that's not disputed. And what's interesting about Roswell is that, from my point of view, is that at the time, the Roswell Army Airfield was home to the only atomic bomb capable squadron anywhere in the world. So these people were the best of the best. Probably this was the elite military unit in the United States and probably anywhere in the world. If ever there was a bunch of people less likely to misidentify a weather balloon, and weather balloons were pretty common in that area, this was the group of people least likely to misidentify one. So when these people say we encountered a debris field and it's unlike anything we've seen before,
Drop the beat.